Growing up, I had a wonderful family. My family would, if I could say they'd pride themselves on anything, it would be being educated, being opinionated. I grew up even as a young child with newspapers at the breakfast table. And so I guess with everything that I ever did, it was all about being able to support your assertions, being able to really know what it was that you were arguing. So something I found really hard at school was talking to Christians who, when you'd ask them a question they didn't know the answer to, they would just say, well, you just got to have faith. And I was like, that's not an answer at all. And so actually I was pretty aggressive towards the Christians, not in a physical way, but I'd love to ask them questions that they didn't know the answers to. And then I met a girl, and she was beautiful, and she invited me to church. She was a Christian, she invited me to church. And initially I kind of just laughed a bit, and then I agreed. I went with kind of two reasons. One was just to mock them a bit more, quietly maybe, and the other was like a fact-finding mission. And so I went, and the speaker wasn't very charismatic. He didn't really have much about him. The music was a bit naff, and it was like every word of it was going straight at me. I never experienced anything like it. I've seen some very eloquent speakers, and it was none of those things, but every word was hitting me directly. So I didn't say anything to anyone, and I went on to the youth group afterwards. I was only 18 at this time, and there was this time where they were just sitting and waiting, and I thought it was even more weird because no one was even speaking to them, but they were sitting and they were waiting, and I'd experienced all of this unusual stuff going on in the church, and so I just said, God, are you there? What is this? And in my heart it was like somebody said, yeah, I'm there. I was just immediately satisfied. I had an answer that I was satisfied with, that came from, I believe, to be God. And it wasn't a maybe, it wasn't, there was no doubt. It convinced me enough to change absolutely everything that I had planned. It estranged me from my friends, it made a real challenge for my family, but it turned my whole way of thinking on its head. I had gone from thinking I had all the answers and had questions that nobody could answer, to then having to try and find answers to these unanswerable questions, because I know that God is there. I just don't know how this works. The more you ask why, the more you know who God is, the more you know about God. And it's the same with research in any field. You answer one question and it just leads you down a whole new alley. So it's not been easy. It's not like I became a Christian and everything fell into place. But I know that although things aren't always falling into place, they can never fully fall apart. I've learned that Christianity is not just a crutch. I never looked for a crutch. I didn't have a tough time. God found me. God is pursuing you. God is looking for you in the same way that he was for me. And all it will take is you just to check your steps, stop and say, what's going on here? And I believe that you'll find exactly what I found, that God is just one step behind you, waiting for you to turn around and find him.